Hello, everyone, and welcome to this bonus video that accompanies the free PDF guide that I created just for you. 20 questions to get to know your teen that they'll actually answer. My name is Holly. And in case you're not quite sure what these 20 questions I'm talking about are, go ahead and click the link in the description below to download this free gift just for you. I created that cheat sheet as a way for you to stop asking the everyday boring questions that our teenagers, our young adult kids don't want to answer, and start to open the door to more curious dialogue, more fun dialogue, things that they may be more apt to give you responses to, but also it's teaching them by asking them these sorts of questions, how to reflect on their day, how to reflect on and learn how to ask for what they need in school or with their friendships or with you, how to handle light conversations and deeper conversations. So go ahead, click that link and download the PDF guide. 20 questions to ask your teen to get to know them if you haven't yet done so. If you're new here or you've stumbled across this video and you don't know who I am yet, my name is Holly Burby, soon to be Holly Hibbard, and I am a mentor and coach for parents of teens and young adults. Specifically, I am supporting the parents and coaching the parents of people who are raising our young generation who are currently around the ages of 11 to 26. And what I'm supporting the parents, which is you, I'm assuming, if you're watching this, in doing is I want to teach you the emotional intelligence skills and habits that are super simple on how to handle your stress, your anxiety, sense of overwhelm, so that then you can teach it to the young people in your life. So everything that I am sharing in regards to those skills around emotional intelligence, like communication, how to make decisions, relationships, they're always framed in a way that you can take it to your family and have things run just a bit smoother in your home as well. And if you are not a direct parent to those young people, to Generation Z or even younger than them, Generation Alpha, please know that if you have some sort of connection with a teen, a young adult, or a tween in your life, this can be valuable for you. So if you are a teacher, a social worker, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, just know that there is content here just for you. All right. So stick around. I promised you to give you the goods today. You've already downloaded the 20 questions that you can ask your teen to get to know them better. And we're setting the intention that they're actually going to answer these questions, where the days of saying, "How was school today?" "Fine." "What did you do today?" "Nothing." "How is your friend?" "Good." We want to start to make those days of our lives with our young people fewer and fewer. And instead, we want to work on generating actual conversations where a connection is made and deepened. So today in this bonus content video, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 tips on how to set the stage to ask those questions of your teenager. By setting the stage for those conversations with the young people in your life, it is going to increase the likelihood that they will respond to you and that they will, maybe roll their eyes a little bit less. I can't promise you that they're going to go open arms, open doors, no eye rolling, but at least these 4 tips are really going to help you to make progress from the jump, more so than if you didn't set the stage this way. So let's get started with tip number 1. The first tip I have for you is do not wait until it's too late. Now, listen, when your teenager was a younger child, there may have been some discipline things that were happening or some acting out. And you may have had that thought when they were growing up, "Oh my gosh, what? Wait until they're a teenager." You may have had some fear in your heart of wait until they're a teenager, it's going to get worse. That is actually not what I'm talking about when I say do not wait until it's too late. If you are raising someone who is 11 years old or 14 or 19 or 25, this tip is still very important. So what do I mean by don't wait until it's too late? Sometimes it is very easy to identify places in our relationship that need improvement, especially when there is tension or an issue in the moment. So, for example, your teenage kiddo has just rubbed you the wrong way and you're so frustrated. And we feel like that is the best moment when the topic is right there, front and center. You're mad, they're annoyed, everything is heightened emotionally. Oftentimes we might think that's the time to have these conversations because the boat is already rocked. So might as well just keep going. What I mean by don't wait until it's too late is the time and place to have these conversations, to ask these questions, to get to know them, to approach some maybe delicate subjects because you've never talked about some of these things before from that cheat sheet. The time to talk about those things is when the season is good. It's when the water is calm and turbulent. I promise you, if you ask them something out of sorts and they find it a little offhand or weird because you usually don't approach them in that way, that is still not going to be enough to rock the boat and have them turn their back against you. So choose the moment of, well, I might annoy them. I might embarrass them for a moment. Choose that instead of choosing the moment when everyone is upset, annoyed, over it, doesn't want to talk to one another. Set the stage early. Don't wait until it's too late. So what does too late mean? Too late means you're already in the heat of conflict. You're already in a moment with your teenager, with your kid, with this young adult that you are raising, where you feel they are disconnected. They're not opening up to you. Maybe they used to, and now they don't anymore. Do your best to trust that there is still hope in the timeline. Just because you've been through or are in a season where they are shutting you down and shutting you out a little bit more, it doesn't mean it's too late. Have these conversations earlier, have them consistently, have them often, and I promise you there's no such thing as too late, even if you are raising someone on the more young adult side than you are closer to the tween end of the age gap. The second tip I have for you is to practice what you preach. Now, the bonus content that I sent you, 20 questions to get to know your teen that they'll actually answer, what are you even practicing and preaching in the first place? What you are doing with that is you are asking of them to share a part of themselves with you that they might not really share with other adults in their life. They might only give that information to their close friends or people around their own age that they really, really trust. So, what we are asking them to practice is openness, honesty, vulnerability, courage to answer some simple questions. And it's not that all of the questions on that sheet that I gave you are very difficult or problematic or controversial. They're really not. However, there is a delicateness to asking a young person to open up vulnerably. It's something that many of our young people do not have experience with. That is called their self-awareness and their social awareness in their relationships. That's part of emotional intelligence. And if it's a new thing that they're practicing with you and they're not used to it, then we're asking, yes, for them to open up to us, but we get to do it ourselves. So what that looks like is giving them an opportunity to ask you questions, giving them an opportunity to ask you to answer the same question back to them. So for example, if you're using that sheet and you are asking them some of the reflection questions about what's currently happening at school, you might answer those same questions about what's happening in your household or in a friendship of yours or in your career. And what you're doing in that moment as you are practicing it and you are preaching to them through your actions and through what's called modeling, you're showing them that it's okay to share with each other, you and them, who you are as people, not just as a parent or their guide in their life or their coach or their grandma, etc., but as another human being. And they want to know that if they're going to go the extra mile to connect with you and open up, they're going to want the same thing from you. And here's a news flash. If you are watching this and you are raising someone who is a Gen Z age range, you are likely a millennial, a Gen X, or if you're a grandparent, you are maybe of the boomer generation. It has come down the pike that we have not been taught emotional intelligence for many, many decades. And it's gotten better with the end of the Gen X and the millennials. And Gen Z is learning about it, but they're not learning it. They're getting the title of it from the world around them, but it's up to you to practice what you preach, ask the questions, require that they practice being courageous and honest and vulnerable, but you get to practice the same thing. And it's okay if no one ever taught you. Somewhere the cycle has to stop of not learning how to express ourselves. And that is what we are doing with those 20 questions and by laying the foundation with these 4 tips I'm giving you right now. Tip number 3 is to give your teen some control. And that might actually scare you. That might make you shudder to think what could happen if you give them some control. And I want to first preface this by saying, I am not saying by giving your teen some control. It says the word some control for a reason, not all the control, also not all the freedom, total freedom. Most people, I think, would be very surprised, especially parents, that teenagers thrive on structure. They thrive on repetition and they thrive on details. Even if you are raising a young person who, let's say, they don't talk very much, or when they do talk, they don't really talk about details or don't seem to pay attention to details, I promise you that oftentimes the reason they're not doing the things in their life the way that we may have taught them to or think that we did is because they're missing some element of structure or detail. And it's leaving them in a place where there's a little too much to choose from. So giving your teen some control means that you have opportunities, you create opportunities where the two of you can sit down and talk about any of those, say 20 questions. And in the process of that, create something together. So it could be, for example, let's say they are reflecting on a friendship. And in this particular friendship, you're using the friendship questions from the sheet, and they're having a dilemma with this particular friend. And what's happening is they may not want your advice in the moment. They might just want you to listen in the moment, but this is an opportunity to give your teen some control. So what I mean by that is fight off the urge to tell them what to do, and also fight off your urge to assume that just because you would handle it a certain way, that they will and they should also. I mean, barring they're physically going to hurt themselves or someone else. I hope that goes without saying. So what this could look like is asking them or adding to that list of questions. Get out your sheet and add this one. Ask them a question like, if you and your friend got into it, what kind of support would you need from me as your parent, as your mentor, as the grown up in your life? What kind of support or help would you need from me? And they also do well, young people do, with multiple choice, an example. So you might say something like, what kind of support would you need from me if you and your friend were getting into an argument? For example, would you like me to give you my advice on what to do? Would you like me to tell you a story about how I went through something similar and how I handled it? Would you like me to take another action for you? But I hope you get the idea. And then from there, you've given the guidance, and now we release control, meaning they are receiving from you some semblance of support the way that they want it, advice or just talk it out, etc. And now it's up to them to decide the choice that they are going to make. And again, this is barring if somebody is looking to, if a teenager or a child or a young adult is looking to hurt themselves or someone else. That is a completely different scenario. We're just talking about them and a friend, get into it. We just want to know what kind of support do we need from them? Because if we assume we know how they should do it, we're actually taking away their freedom to handle it, but also an opportunity to practice. And practicing handling those conflicts, practicing creating resolutions in friendships and relationships is a life skill. And the way that they learn it is by doing it on their own. It's not going to be perfect. They're not going to be an exact replicate of you, but you can give them a little guidance and then let them take care of it and create an opportunity after the fact, after they handle it, to reflect on what happened. So that's an example of giving your teen some control. Let them make let them make a choice, let them make a decision, include them in the conversation when your family is making an important decision, for example. And it's not that you're giving them the full reign, but you want to ensure that they know they have a voice in the matter, that they have an opportunity to ask questions, to get clarity, to check on things, instead of just saying why to everything. Again, young people will often say, why? Why are you controlling this? Why won't you let me do it this way? If they're asking you why a lot, it's often because you're not going deep enough with the explanation. And they are in the process of growing up, connecting those parts of their brain that helps them with logic and reasoning. So your logic and reasoning may seem super obvious to you why you're choosing to do XYZ with something, but to them, they're building those pathways in their brain. And so it's important that you tell them why you're making the choices that you are. So give them some control, but give them details, info, uh, the knowledge, the structure. They thrive on it, I promise. And finally, tip number 4, to set the foundation to have these 20 questions to get to know your teen go so much better, is to listen and be open. You can tell your teenager or young adult all you want. Hey, you can talk to me about anything, right? You can tell me anything, right? You can come to me about anything, right? But we all know that as parents, we have a threshold. We have a point where, yes, they can come to us, but it's not coming to you that is the scary part. What they're afraid of in coming to you is that you are going to be, in turn, closed off, that you in turn are not going to be able to control your emotions, that you are going to react to what they say, to guilt them or shame them or blame them, before you help them through it. So a lot of times, them coming to you and just talking in the first place, that is not why they avoid it. They avoid it because they anticipate that you are going to be reactive and that you are going to be closed off, that they might start to share something with you and you interrupt them. Or better yet, you interrupt them, or worse yet, you interrupt them and you start disciplining them in the moment. That doesn't create an emotionally safe situation for them. So this tip, listening and being open, means that you create on a regular basis examples to them that you listen to them. That means you are giving them your focus with your body language, meaning you are facing them, meaning you are looking at them. You, on a regular basis, make eye contact with the teenager or the young adult in your life. Those things with your body, your facial expressions, how you stand, show them that you are present or that you are distracted. So that is first signal to them that you are listening or not listening. And you might be doing something and say to them, "Oh, I'm listening," but they may not believe you. Again, an adult whose brain is developed will understand that, yeah, they're capable of multitasking, but a kid only sees you distracted. And the kid cannot focus with that level of multitasking like an adult could necessarily. So they don't think that it's realistic that you are both doing that thing and paying attention to them. Second part of this, again, with listening, is give them your full attention and do your best not to interrupt. Do your best. When you interrupt them, or a person for that matter, you are sending them the message that what they have to say does not matter. You are sending them the message when you interrupt them that what they have to say isn't as important as what you have to say. You are sending them the message that their input is not welcome, it is not wanted, that it's going to be deemed wrong or incorrect from the beginning. And my point here is interrupting does nothing positive. It does absolutely nothing positive. And the favorite interruption is, well, I know what you're going to say. I mean, I know kids are super, super repetitive. I get it. Okay. I get it. But just because you think they're going to say the same thing again, or they're going to tell it to you a certain way, you don't know it for sure. And again, with those 20 questions, it's important to understand that this might be the time that they are going to open up to you about something that they haven't previously. And when you interrupt and you don't give them your full focus and attention and you shut it down, they automatically will think this person's not safe for me to talk to, and I'm just going to stop trying. So everyone needs to get out of their comfort zone just a little bit when practicing listening and being open for these conversations. So to recap, the 4 tips to set the foundation to ask these 20 questions. Number 1, do not wait until it is too late. If they're slamming doors and upset, that is not the moment to have the conversation when they are in full-on rebellion. Do it when the season is good and the water is calm. Tip number 2, practice what you preach. If you're going to ask them some of these questions to get to know them, be willing to answer the same in return. We're modeling for them open conversations that happen as a part of emotional intelligence. Tip number 3, give your teen some amount of control. Include them in the decision-making process, to give them an opportunity to practice decision-making and making choices for themselves. And that's going to boost their confidence in doing so as they get older as well. Don't rob them of that opportunity. And number 4, listen and be open. Skip the interruptions, turn down and squash any temptations that you have to interrupt or be reactive instead of responsive, and simply keep practicing reassuring them that this is as emotionally and psychologically safe place, namely you are that person for them that they can come to get the support that they need in this moment. I really appreciate you tuning into this video. I'd love to know what you have to say about it. Go ahead and leave me a comment below. Again, if you have not yet received the 20 questions document, click the link that's in the description below and shoot me a comment, send me an email, let me know what it is that you are learning from this and how it is improving or changing your relationship with the teen or young adult in your life that you are raising. I appreciate you being here. Until next time, I'm Holly. Talk to you next time. Bye.